Welcome to the IVM Podcast Network.
IVM Likes is an IVM production, and if you enjoy our show, do check out the On Course podcast. If you're a student planning to study abroad and wondering how to go about it, hosts Akhil and Alisha have all the answers for you. From financing your education to decoding that application process, they cover it all on the On Course podcast. Check it out. If you're a listener of IVM Likes and a socks fan, which I'm sure is a Venn diagram that's totally possible, I have great news for you. Just check out the Moja Club. They make amazing funky socks that you can buy on their website. Or even better, just get a subscription. Sign up for 6 months or a year and you'll get a pair delivered to your house every month. They'll even throw in a free pair at the end of the month. And if you go to their website, themojaclub.in right now, you get a whole 33% off by just applying the code IVM Likes. It's IVM Likes with no spaces. 33% off. Did you hear that? Themojaclub.in.
Hello and welcome to IVM Likes, everybody. And with my saying hello, Alika just kind of screamed on a chair. What happened, Alika?
Your voice is really loud.
Alika is in a Boris Becker avatar today with the headband and everything. Right after this, we're going to play tennis. Also, the right time to introduce Joshua on the podcast.
Hello.
Okay, just a quick introduction about my co-hosts for this episode of IVM Likes. Joshua produces Made in India and Seen Unseen and a bunch of other cool podcasts.
Yes.
He's doing cool ninja moves with his hands right now.
Thank you.
Alika, on the other hand, is our in-house graphic designer, does some of the coolest stuff that we ourselves as producers can't do. And I'm Naveen Narona, and I produce Cyrus Says and my own show, Keeping It Queer. And here we are talking about IVM Likes, and the recommendations for today are going to start now. First off, Josh, take it away.
Okay, so my recommendation today is going to be a film. It's a film, I'll be honest with you, I was watching it just yesterday and I only got halfway through, but it is so awesome. It is a action sci-fi film called Attack the Block.
Yeah.
And it's set in the inner city of London, and some aliens crash down, and it's basically how these kids deal with these aliens. And
correct.
It's a weird mix of like E.T. and I don't know, like some John Carpenter's The Thing or something like that.
But also, I think it's got a very underground, the underbelly of London kind of feel.
Yeah.
Because these kids are essentially like from broken homes, from the London projects.
Yeah, from council estates. And
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah. So they're basically in the start. You see the girl who's walking alone on the street. These guys try to rob her, and then later on she ends up depending on them, and she still has a trust issue. John Boyega is there in the movie.
Yeah,
from Star Wars fame.
Yes.
And very, very well acted, I think. And the monsters also, like, I think you should talk about the monsters.
The monsters, what another amazing thing about this film is it's a very low budget film. And I think the funding was from the UK Film Council, and it kind of shows in the kind of production values and all. But the monsters are done very aesthetically. The sort of, it must be somebody in a costume, but it's like they're furry, they have these glowing mouths.
Is it kind of like the Doctor Who sort of budget?
It would look, maybe it's possible, but there's not, it's more, I think, the sound design and how much they cut away rather than how much they show.
The sound design especially, because when the monsters are attacking, there's like, this bass starts thumping, and then they have techno also there.
It's really good.
That sounds really cool. This sounds so up my alley.
Yeah,
sure.
It's a great film.
But yeah, you haven't seen the whole movie, but
I'm going to finish it today.
It's okay, because as like most sci-fi movies go, the kids have to defeat the aliens in the end. Yeah. And how they do it also is also very interesting. They're smart kids.
Yeah.
What's like the age range of the kids?
They're all like in their teens, sort of. Like they're all rude boys, kind of teens, angsty, just doing stupid shit,
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Cool. So that's Josh's recommendation. His movie for the week is Attack the Block. Do you know who the director of the movie is?
Joe Cornish.
Oh, nice. Yeah. I think he's done some cool work after that as well.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, we have Alika. Alika's going to recommend.
Hey, so I'm going to recommend like an animated TV miniseries, Over the Garden Wall, which was created for Cartoon Network by this guy called Patrick McHale in like 2014. Yeah. And Patrick McHale has worked on things like Adventure Time and The Marvelous Adventures of Flapjack before, so the vibe is, kind of zany. But if you like Adventure Time, you probably like this. It's about 10 episodes and they're roughly 12 minutes each. So you can finish it in 2 hours if you wanted to sit through it. And it follows the adventures of these two brothers who are lost in this mysterious forest called the Unknown. You're not told how they got to the unknown in the beginning or anything. It's just they're in the forest and they have to get out. and they come across a lot of different weird people, and basically it's like, they have to find out things and meet people and, just navigate their way through the forest. There are a lot of they have a talking bluebird guide named Beatrice. She's amazing, by the way. And also, above all that, there's this looming entity watching them, sort of stalking them, called the Beast. And they have to escape its clutches. So the setting is kind of a very 19th to 20th century Americana sort of setting. So they have a lot of, they go to a lot of events which would happen in that sort of time. Like they took part in a Huskin Bee. They had to go.
What's a Huskin Bee?
That's like a how do you call it? It's like a festival thing which the farmers did during the time to husk the corn.
Oh, like the harvest festival.
Yeah, it is pretty much a harvest.
It's like their Lori.
Their Pongal.
Yeah. And even the characters are also like, okay.
Two culturally different.
Yeah. And even the characters are wearing like kind of old-fashioned clothes and stuff. And the artwork is amazing. So you can see the environment change from late October, which is when this is set, to like the cold November winters. And it's a really great story about, these two boys who are very different in personality. One is kind of early teenage, so he's got this brooding, angsting, I'm too different from everyone else in the world sort of persona, and the other guy is like a kid, maybe like 5 or 6, so he's like completely optimistic, charges head first into everything. And it's a story about how they depend on each other, how their relationship, what their actual relationship is through the show, and how they navigate through all these dangers and learn things about themselves. And they're very fleshed out characters. They don't feel like stereotypes or anything. They all have their own likes and dislikes, and you learn slowly as you go through this very short 10 episodes quite a lot about them.
Cool. So that's Alika's recommendation, a cartoon miniseries called
Over the Garden Wall.
Cool. And now it's my turn. I'm going to be recommending a book today, and the book I'm recommending is so I usually I don't really go and buy books from big stores because I just like the smell and the rustiness of.
You're a hipster.
I'm hipster that way. Yeah. So my favorite place to go to is go to Flora Fountain near Churchgate and buy books for cheaper there. And this one book I picked up, and
that's not hipster enough.
I wear glasses when I do that.
That's tourist.
That's illegal.
I also carry a joint along with my hand. Now I'm hipster. Now I'm hitting the sweet spot. But I picked up this book called Red Earth and Pouring Rain by Vikram Chandra, and it's only later I realized it was his debut novel, and I finished the book in 3 days because it's a very intense book. It's not even it's not supposed to be read in 3 days. I was pretty mind when I read the book. So it's about this guy who's come down from America to India to live with his parents in Bombay, and he sees a monkey who keeps on troubling his family. So one day he just takes his father's gun and shoots the monkey, and in his almost dead condition, the monkey kind of remembers its past life where it was a poet, and it's like back in the British Raj times, okay? And this guy's a poet, and he grew up with this guy called Sikandar, okay? So now Hanuman comes down literally to the house and says ki the only way you'll stay alive is if you tell this family a story every day. So the monkey has to come up with one new story every day to keep the family members entertained. So first it's the family members, then the villagers and everybody else from nearby areas. They all come together, and at one point the entire park in front of the house is filled with people coming to listen to this monkey story. And what happens is we go into this inception mode where we go story inside story inside story. So it goes from the monkey's past life to his rivalry with his best friend Sikandar, who joins the British people and because of his Anglo-Indian origin, and we go back in time some more to find out about Abhay's past life as a student in America as well. So there are a lot of parallel stories happening at the same time, but in reality what the author's trying to convey is that all our life is basically encompassing a certain time in history. Basically, we look at ourselves from a perspective in past, and we see how different everything is, but still at the core we're still humans, right? We're still vulnerable, we still lack for love, we still lack for friendship, for company, and that is what comes out of the book eventually. So definitely a good read. Take your time, don't read the book like me in 3 days, and don't get frazzled by it.
Sounds intense.
It's a very fat book as well, but definitely for someone who's trying to explore better side of Indian writing, if somebody want to take a break from the Chetan Bhagat and Durjoy Datta and read books like these. So the book is called Red Earth and Pouring Rain by Vikram Chandra. Alright, so that concludes our round of recommendations. Josh recommended a movie called
Attack the Block
by
Joe Cornish.
Alright, and Alika, cartoon miniseries.
Yeah, called Over the Garden Wall by Patrick McHale.
Alright, and I recommended the book Red Earth and Pouring Rain by Vikram Chandra. Alright, so we'll take a small break now, and after we come back from the break, we'll be talking about how our childhood was, what we read, what we watched as kids, and how that has shaped us in reality. See you soon.
Hi, I'm Amit Verma, the host of the weekly podcast The Seen and the Unseen. In my show, I examine the seen effects and the unintended consequences of public policy and private action. I show how policies meant to help the poor often end up hurting the poor. I've done episodes so far on demonetization, GST, surgical strikes, immigration and MRP. And I will continue my forensic assault on the truth in the weeks to come.
Catch the show every Monday on the IVM Podcast app or any other podcasting app that you prefer. Or visit seenunseen.in for all the latest updates.
Alright, we're back on IVM Likes, and I'm here with Alika and Joshua. And now we're going to talk about what we enjoyed as kids. Like, as grown-ups, we usually don't spend so much time into thinking about how, and when we first came into touch with what we now know as books and TV shows and movies. So, Alika, what really stands out for you when you think about your childhood?
Oh man, besides things which now are going to send me to therapy. But I read a lot. I watched a lot of TV because I was that kid who never went for naps and watched TV and read books instead. There were a lot of interesting series. There's one series which I still enjoy reading to this day because it was mind-blowing to me. So there's a series by K.A. Applegate called Animorphs. I don't know if anyone of you read it.
Of course, it's one of the most amazing kids' books, I think.
Yeah.
It was a kid's book, but it dealt with some dark themes, yo.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah. So the premise is that there are these 5 kids who are walking home from, I think, the mall one night, and they see this strange light in the sky. So they decide to kind of hide and check out what was happening. They find a spaceship has kind of crash landed into a construction site. Then they witness some aliens on the spaceship fighting, and one of the aliens devours the other alien in a very gruesome manner. And these kids managed to get a little a cube which gave them powers to basically morph into any type of animal. Obviously the caveat was that they could only stay in that form for 2 hours, otherwise they are stuck in that form permanently. And they managed to figure out that these alien which ate the other alien were the bad guys, and they had to basically defeat them. This is a long series. It goes on for 54 books. I cannot give you a very succinct summary of this, but it's basically kids using animal powers to defeat aliens and defend other aliens. It sounds really weird.
But the aliens in question are like the sort of invasion of the body snatcher type.
Yes, they are called Yeerks.
Yeah.
At least I always pronounce them Yeerks.
Yeerks, yeah.
I don't know if they're like Yerks
I
or
don't know.
Yerks.
No, Yeerk only, Yeerk.
Let's just call them Yeerk.
It goes best with your Mallu accent.
Shut up, bastard.
So yeah, basically they possess other species by crawling into their ear holes and then controlling their brain. So they started controlling other humans, and these kids find out that people that they know and are in daily contact with are also controlled by these Yeerks. And during the course of the series, they have to make a lot of moral decisions about, can we destroy this person? Can we make the Yeerk die of starvation, which is a very horrible way of dying? They have seen this. They have to make these moral choices.
Because the hosts, they don't want to kill the host body.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
And there are several political things in this. There's one book which deals with addiction. There's one book which deals with depression. There's one book which deals with PTSD. It's a lot of weird stuff in a kid's book.
In a kid's series.
Yeah.
That's so crazy.
And it's something that was presented in a way which any kid can understand. It doesn't get too heavy for a kid, but obviously when you read it later, you're like, oh my god, this was really dark.
Yeah.
It was really interesting. There are 54 books. I haven't probably read all of them because they were in a I used to borrow them from the library. I got maybe like 30 something, and then the library stopped keeping it, so I had to borrow from friends. So I probably missed a whole bunch in the middle. But it's an intense series. It definitely shaped my childhood, and I still read it from time to time right now.
I'm glad you mentioned the
Still
library.
recommended.
I'm glad you mentioned the library because when I was a kid and I had a lot of my friends who were just retards who would not like to read at all. So I would go to like 3 books in a week span because I would read my book that the library would give me and my friend's book as well. And it was like a compulsory thing. We had to all read a book. So I got exposed to R.L. Stein's Goosebumps around that time, and I used to love reading R.L. Stein a lot. And also at the same time, Enid Blyton came into my life, and I would spend hours and hours reading the Secret Seven and the Famous Five stories. And I think she was a major influence for me as I grew up to become a writer. I also wrote this small short story on this cake baking competition about these 5 kids who enter a cake baking competition, and I also solve a crime at the same time.
That's amazing.
It's cute.
That's so funny.
But yeah, I think reading was the escape for me. Generally, I was not exposed to TV so much. I would get the usual, like, when I was around 5 or 6, Doordarshan was the only thing we got at home. So we'd watch the usual Vikram Betal and Potli Baba Ki and all that stuff.
Oh my god, I remember Potli Baba Ki.
Yeah, my god, I've never met anybody who said that, that song was so eerie.
That thing gave me nightmares.
Nightmares, yeah. Potli Baba Ki was scary. Even Vikram Betal.
Yeah, Vikram Betal.
The Betal screaming and howling at,
the sound. In fact, the music for Vikram Betal, man, that shit is scary.
Haunting,
It's really, like, now it's cheesy, but as a kid, when you see it, it's like...
Yeah. Even, like, remember, like, they did a whole, the It parody in India, if you look at, called Woe, with, like, Lilliput playing the titular Joker, who was, like, a stout Joker, but very scary at the same time. And even that intro scene, like, whenever the Joker would enter, he would have this toy in his hand, and would go, and I would freak the out. Like, I was hardly like 7, and I remember that watching as a kid. It was on ZTV, and they made like an entire series out of it. And so most of my childhood, I realize now, it was just like about horror. That's what probably scarred me as a grown up now.
Yeah, for me, reading Goosebumps and Fear Street, I did enjoy it because there's something about it where it's like that the macabre or whatever the word is, but that appeals to kids. Or like, I remember, like, when you go to like a DVD store, like a video store, and you see like a cover of like a horror film, but you can't borrow it, they won't let you borrow it, and you really want to. So it's like that kind of urge, And so reading like Fear Street and Goosebumps, it was almost like allowing yourself to indulge these sort of horror suspense things, but then at the same time freaking yourself out, because I remember there was this Fear Street story that I had read called Trapped, which is about like there's some castle, and there are these underground tunnels, and in the tunnels there's this red mist, and if anybody gets caught in the red mist, they get completely mutilated, man. And I'm reading this as a 5th or 6th, and I'm like, oh my god, this is so scary. But it was so good. Like,
I believe that's what it sounded like when you were
no, I just love horror as a kid is just, it's so much more visceral, man.
I remember this story from the Goosebumps series called The Man on the Rocking Chair, and that has scarred me till today. Like, even now, if I'm at night at home alone, I don't look outside the window, because this whole book is about how this kid looks outside his window one night and he sees this man in the opposite house who's a dead man, and a ghost is rocking on the chair, and then like the story starts off from there, and it comes a full circle. It's scary as hell.
Strangely enough, the one Goosebumps story which scared me for life did not have monsters in it. It was called Don't Fall Sick at Granny's. It was literally...
I remember this one.
It was literally the protagonist fell sick at his grandmother, and the grandmother is trying to remove the sickness from him, but in the most horrible way possible. So it was like spoonful after spoonful of medicine. You have to like get wrapped in 500 blankets to sweat it out. I was like, no,
that's something that could actually happen to you as a kid also.
Yes.
Like, my mom would pull me in 2 layers of sweater if I was unwell, and I'm a fat kid. I don't like sweaters already. I would get rashes, and I'd be even more sick after it. That's genuine nightmare. So that's pretty much. I think we just all talked about horror as kids. That's our influence.
Because I
mean, like we are those kids from the It movie, like much grown up now and recounting all our old days of horror. In fact, It is very similar to what you said. The Trapped, right? The mist under the tunnels. It's very much like that. Like in that, the entity is white and white light basically.
I remember once going for Hindi tuition as a kid, and my tuition teacher, she was watching something called 20 Saal Baad or something on the TV, some horror film, And there was like one guy who like killed his wife, and then 20 years later she comes back as a ghost. And it's like it was one B-grade horror movie, but I remember being so scared. I could hardly like you said, no, you can't go into a bathroom without thinking of something is going to come out of the window or something.
God.
It's just crazy, man.
But that woman was watching a TV show while teaching you Hindi.
Yeah.
Explains why your Hindi is like this right now, Josh.
And
And up comes the middle finger. All right, so that's our recounting of our childhood days watching stuff. We definitely like to watch a lot of more stuff, and we come back every week with more suggestions, more recommendations with the whole new bunch of people from IVM. And this is our show. It's called IVM Likes. Do check it out every week. And
If you have any other interesting likes that you want to recommend, please let us know on Facebook.
all right, so that's our show, guys. Do write to us, do talk to us, and we are lonely, so please talk to us. Bye.
Excuse me, भैया. Excuse me.
बोलिए मैडम.
मेन्यू में क्या है?
मेन्यू में सीन अनसीन है, पॉडकास्ट है, ऑन कोर्स है, साइरस है, मेड इन इंडिया, रीडिस्कवरी प्रोजेक्ट, एम्पावरिंग सीरीज, सेक्स वैक्स है, IVM लाइक्स है, सिंप्लीफाइड है, कीपिंग इट क्वियर है, ड्रिंक्स एंड डेस्टिनेशंस है, माय नेबर जकरबर्ग है और द फैन गराज है. आपको क्या चाहिए?
एक बार रिपीट कर देंगे क्या?
रिपीट नहीं करता हम. आप जाओ IVMpodcast.com पे और सुनो ये सब, या फिर डाउनलोड करो उनका ऐप. सब आपकी उंगलियों पे.